Hello everyone, this is Caitlin and you are watching Zombie Eats Books. So I have a book haul today, probably one of two of my very last book hauls for the year. I will have probably little tiny book hauls along the way, but for the most part I have restricted myself from buying books this year. I'm going to dedicate myself to what I already own and also to my library. So I am only going to be buying books that I have already read and that I love and that I want to own a copy of. And I will also allow myself to buy some graphic novels because my library really doesn't have a great graphic novel collection. Yeah, so let's get started and I'll show you the books that I've collected in the last couple of months. So first I'm going to show you some books that my husband bought for me for Valentine's Day, which was very unexpected and sweet. The first is Benedict Cumberbatch coloring book. I have not tried adult coloring books yet, and I'm really excited to put an audiobook on and do some coloring by myself. Some downtime that I really desperately need because I'm super busy with school right now. But let me show you something in here, a little page, just an example of what's in here. It's kind of an interactive thing besides the interactive coloring. It says, "Poor Benedict is all packed up with nowhere to go. Draw a dream house for you and Benedict to share and fill with flat pack furniture." So there's Benedict sitting all lonely without me. Admittedly, I'm probably not going to be doing any drawing in here because I draw stick figures, but maybe some magazine cutting and some pasting and then coloring. Yeah, looking forward to trying this out. My husband also bought me a novel called Girl Waits with Gun by Amy Stewart. This is apparently based on one of the first female crime fighters, and in this novel I think she helps the local sheriff fight some gangsters that are causing mischief in the town that they live in the country. So this sounds really fun. I think it's supposed to be more of a humorous book than serious, but yeah, sounds great. He also bought me Hunger Makes Me a Modern Girl by Carrie Brownstein. This is her memoir, and I'm really looking forward to getting into this because I don't know very much about her other than she's involved in things that I love. She's in a band called Sleater-Kinney, which I love, and then she is also an actress in Portlandia, which is a show that I love. So looking forward to finding out more about her. So the next three books are translated works. The first is Irene by Pierre Lemaitre, and it's translated by, who is it translated by? Frank Wynne. And it's translated from French. Obviously, I butchered that. I don't know how to speak French. I grew up with Spanish in our household. But this is the first book in a crime novel series, and I think a lot of people have been reading Alex. Alex is actually the second book in the series. And for some reason, Alex was translated into English first, but Irene is the first book in the series, and it was translated second. I don't know the story behind that, but I just know that it happened. Stephen King apparently will not read translated fiction, but I read that this guy's series, this guy's work, is the only translated fiction that he will make an exception for. So I'm excited to see what he is all about and if I like his novels. This next one is My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. She's an Italian author. I think this is the story of two young women that grow up together in the 50s and 60s, and it spans their lifetime and is about their friendship. So I've heard great things about this and looking forward to getting into it. I also picked up Three Body Problem by Sinan Liu, translated by Ken Liu, and I probably just butchered those names, sorry. But this is about an alien invasion. It's the first book in a series, and it sounds fantastic. Everybody seems to love it. Not so much with the second book, but I can take a chance and see if I like the second book. So I have to see if I like the first book first. See, this is part of my book buying problem. So yeah, I'm gonna check this one out first and see if I like it, and then I'll worry about the second book. Also picked up some nonfiction, which is kind of rare for me, but this first one is The Liars Club, and it's a memoir by Mary Karr. I think this is either her first memoir or it's close to her first memoir, and it is about her childhood in Texas. I don't read a lot of memoirs. The only other author that I have read more than one memoir from is Joan Didion. I really, really love her. I think her writing is impeccable, so I'm hoping to like Mary Carr just as much. Also picked up a couple of books about murderers. The first is The Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. I've heard this reads just like fiction, which is perfect for me, since I'm not so great with the nonfiction. But this is about a serial killer who lured his victims in 1893 to the Chicago World Fair. And yeah, it sounds interesting. I really don't know about that killer at all, so yeah, it'll be interesting to figure this one out. Also picked up Helter Skelter, the true story of the Manson murders by Vincent Bugliosi and Kurt Gentry. This is obviously about Charles Manson. I don't know a lot about Charles Manson other than, you know, what everybody knows, common knowledge. So I'm interested to get into the details of this one. This next book I picked up because it just sounded really fun. Vermilion by Molly Tanzer. Vermilion is about a gun-slinging, chain-smoking, Stetson-wearing Taoist psychopomp, nicknamed Blue. She's 19 years old, and she's keeping San Francisco safe from ghosts and shades and something else that I can't pronounce. Yeah, it sounds awesome. I love the way that the protagonist is depicted on the front cover, and I had to get it. Also picked up the third book in the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. I have not gotten to the second book yet, but I thought I would get ahead of myself a little bit and buy the third book. This is why I have book buying rules. I also picked up the beautiful Bronte sister editions that are going around. I have the Jane Austen editions that kind of match these. They're the same size and they have this white strip down the middle, but they're more colorful and they have different patterns on them. But I had to get these. They're gorgeous. And the first is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I love this book. It's pretty good. I don't love it as much as Jane Eyre, but great gothic novel. And then Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, one of my favorite novels of all time. And then also The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte. This is the only one that I haven't read. I have heard that Anne Bronte is more political than her sisters, and I'm looking forward to finding out what her writing is all about. And last but not least, I also picked up a couple of graphic novels. The first is Suicide Squad. Can't remember if I hauled this in a video or not already, but you'll just see it again, I guess. So here's the art. I basically got this, I don't read a lot of DC Comics, but I basically got this because I wanted to read it before the movie comes out. I don't know whether or not the movie is based on this run of Suicide Squad or if it's based on an older run of Suicide Squad. But I like to know a little bit going into those comic book movies, so yeah, I thought I'd try it out. So a lot of my comic book reading when I was younger consisted of going into my brother's room, stealing his comics, reading them, and then putting them back before he noticed. So one of those comics that I discovered in that way was Tank Girl by Hewlett and Martin. And if you're not familiar with Tank Girl is completely inappropriate for children, just in case you're wondering. But she is a drinker, a smoker. There's lots of violence and sex, and it's awesome because I love all those things in my comic books. And let me show you the art here. Yeah, apparently these have been out of print for years, and they just started collecting them in volumes again and reprinting them. So I'm excited to rediscover these. So one last thing before I tune out, I'm going to change the way that I do wrap-ups. I've been doing monthly wrap-ups, but that just isn't going to work with me with my schedule. Too much pressure. A lot of people have been adopting this thing where they just review books as they go along. So they read 3 or 4 books and they decide it's time to do a wrap-up. So they just do a wrap-up whenever that happens to fall within the month, whether it's at the end of the month or whatever. So I'm going to start doing that because that's what's going to have to work for me. And yeah, so you can look forward to those, but don't expect an end of February wrap up because I've probably read about 20 pages of fiction in February and tons of pages of textbook. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have read any of these books or if you would like to read any of these books, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.